So Ezekiel Gillespie was born in bondage sometime around 1818 in Tennessee. So he buys his freedom from his father and he moves to Indiana sometime in the 1840s, makes his way to Wisconsin sometime in the 1850s. Ezekiel Gillespie is known for several reasons. He was a community leader. He helped build the first Black church in Milwaukee. He also brought suit for the right of Black men to vote in the state of Wisconsin. So when you read the 1848 Constitution, the suffrage article, it says you have to be 21, you have to be male, and you have to have lived in the state or territory for at least a year. Then the first clause says that you must be a white citizen. The second clause says that you can be a foreign-born white male who declares that they want to become a citizen. So what's important here is whiteness, not citizenship. So you could be a foreign-born white male who was not a citizen of the United States of America, live in Wisconsin for a year, and you had a right to vote. You didn't need to be a citizen. You just said that you just make a declaration that you wanted to become one. And then there were all these clauses about what kinds of indigenous people could vote. And it basically said they had to be a citizen of the United States, which very few indigenous tribes were, and that they had to have limited affiliations with their tribes, so socially white. And so it is a suffrage article that is explicitly in your face racist. They use the language of whiteness in that article. Black people had been in Wisconsin before it became a state. There weren't a lot of them. We're talking about hundreds. And they were not pleased that they were being excluded, right? And so Black people began petitioning and they began meeting about their exclusion from the ballot box. And there are three referendums on Black male voting. The first is in 1849. And in 1849, about 4,000 vote no, and about 5,000 or 6,000 vote yes. These are all white men, by the way, because they're the only ones who can vote, as few indigenous people. The State Board of Canvassers takes the abstention votes as no votes and says Black men can't vote. Even though of the people who voted, more people voted yes than no, but most people didn't vote. And so the State Board of Canvassers says, okay, then Black men can't vote. Ezekiel Gillespie, along with other Black men, had often presented themselves on voting days to force the electoral board to turn them away and say, why are you turning me away, right? Making them call out their own racism, right? And so he goes to vote. He gets turned away. He shows up the next day, but this time he brings with him Sherman Booth, who is this white abolitionist lawyer, so he can witness him being turned away. They know they're going to get turned away so that they can file suit. Ezekiel Gillespie files suit. It makes its way to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court rules in Ezekiel Gillespie's favor because they say what happened in 1849, when the State Board of Canvassers counted those abstention votes as no votes, that was technically wrong. They should have only counted the votes that had actually been cast, so Black men have the right to vote. So it was overturned on a technicality. So for 17 years, in the formation and in the founding of the state, Black men are prohibited from participating in that process because of that technicality, right? And Ezekiel Gillespie's challenge meant that Black men now had access to the ballot box in Wisconsin in 1866. And it made Wisconsin the first state in the Midwest to have unrestricted access to the ballot box for Black men. But think about what happens without his action, without his insistence, without his push. And I really think it's important to pay attention to the petitions and the meetings that Black people were having about this. They were politically conscious and they were politically engaged, and they understood that they were being marginalized and discriminated against, and they organized to do something about it.